When did the moment go, you know what, I'm gonna go for this, and you went for it? What was that?
It was the year of. uh, maybe like don't do this at home type thing, but like this next like 4 year block, I'm like, I'm gonna like actually qualify 3 years in advance, not the year of. But long story short, I went through like a big kind of like relationship like ending after like 5 years, and it was tough and not the easiest. And so I just started kind of running a lot more. Not that I wasn't running, but I was like, all right, how fast can I like get? And so just started jumping into some of the workouts with like our club here, the Duke's Track Club, and they were all training for marathons. And so just like getting back into like being very like, let's see how fast I can do this tempo workout. Let's see how fast I can do this speed workout. But I also wasn't running that high mileage because it was ski season and I'm a huge skier. So this would have been like December 2020, 2023. And so I like on a whim just I was supposed to do it with my family, but then my dad ended up having to go to the UK for work. I went out to run Arizona Rock and Roll half marathon and went out there and like had never run, actually I think I'd done it once, but really had never like consistently run under 120 and a half. And I ran like a 115 off of like just a few tempo runs and a few speed workouts on a day. It was pouring rain in Phoenix, and that's not an easy course. And I basically told myself I was just gonna stick with the front pack as much as I could and like take my fuel and see what happens. I didn't really plan on sticking with the 115 pack, but when I realized it and like at the time like felt pretty good, I was like, why not? And so running with a really experienced pack in like that moment in time, one of the girls I'd raced before and she'd beaten me by like 4 minutes. I was like, I probably have no business running here. But like even her, like she was like, hey, what are you trying to run today? I was like, because she wasn't having a great day. I was like, I just want a PR. And like at this point, I'm like on a course for a PR. And she's like, just manage your effort on the hills. And so it was like kind of freaky because we were running like 540s. And then we got to the big hill going up into Papago Park. And like she slowed the group down to like 6 minute pace. And I'm like looking at my watch, like we're like really slow now, like kind of freaking out. And she's like, it'll come back, like just stay patient. And I think slowing down to that 6 minute effort, which is probably the equivalent of like a 5:30 on a flat, like saved my race. And so you get to the top and it's like not 3 miles left downhill, and I just remember like having so much energy and running like 5:30s the rest of it and having a big PR. And so like that off of like minimal training. And I called my coach and he was just like, yeah, I think we should go for Olympic trials if you're up for it. Like you've got 8 months basically to qualify. Since you did that off of like minimal training, like I think you have it in you. And so we immediately signed up for grandma's in June, CIM as a backup, and then started training. Was really excited about it. Went out to Carlsbad 5,000, ran a 5K PR, had a blast, and then had like a 20-mile long run the next weekend. Went well, and then started to get this like weird like hip thing and like sciatica, and like work was really stressful, and just like everything started like kind of unraveling like a month before grandma's. And I'm just like, I don't think I can go run a 237 at grandma's. And so we kind of had this like hard talk, like, is it worth still going to try? And I was like, I don't think my body can. So we ended up just taking like a month off, which was freaky because now we're
Completely
like,
off.
no, like I was running. It was like a month of like run how you feel. And I truly like trusted it, even though it was hard knowing I'm like, now, okay, now we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. um, but like then around the same time, the McCurdy Micro New York Marathon came up. And so I got into that. So then I had the October one and it was a little sooner. I'm like, cool, like now I have a goal. So going into that one, could not have had more of a perfect training block. I hit every single workout, every single pace, was so excited about it, feeling like had all my bottles set up, hadn't run a marathon. I think what got me, fast forward to the end, I didn't qualify at this one, but like I felt amazing for 18 miles and then like started cramping, basically had to like crawl across the finish line. Was I still ran a 242, so I PR'd. I think I had ran a 249 in 2019 when I had tried to qualify for the 245 and had a rough day of diabetes and everything. And that was the last time I'd ran a marathon was 2019. And so the McCurdy one was frustrating because my blood sugar spiked to over 300. I did not know the impact of adrenaline on blood sugars because I hadn't been in a marathon situation where I had this huge like goal, right, in a long time. And adrenaline is a powerful thing, especially when it comes to blood sugar. I guarantee people without diabetes, they spike the same, but just not to that level, and like their body can correct with insulin on the spot, whereas ours can't. But like adrenaline spikes are a real thing, and so was reminded that the hard way. So I remember like sitting at dinner that night and like knowing I had the fitness to run a 2:37 based on like my 18 miles at it, and it was literally just the cramping from like my diabetes. Yeah, so I was like, we're gonna do CIM like 6 weeks later. That was like a not questionable decision. Like it was gonna happen. I was gonna go for it again. But like the biggest thing was like nailing down my insulin. And so CIM, I didn't even have an elite bib. I was only in the seated start, and so it made it even difficult because I didn't have bottles or anything. But at the same time, like the bottles at New York spiked me because I put carbs in them. And so I realized, hey, like I'm a salty sweater, so I need electrolytes. Even more so, especially like type 1. Basically, what happens when your blood sugar is high is all of the water from your muscles tries to flood your like blood, basically to bring down the concentration of sugar, and so it just causes you to cramp. And it makes electrolytes important, it makes hydration important. So knowing I didn't have bottles at CAM, it might have actually helped because I knew I could only do water, and then I would take like salt tabs and then rely on like my food for carbs. And so yeah, like I mean, we went back to the drawing board. I was able to get medical on board and like have insulin on the course. And so I knew like with the spikes I had to take insulin during. Worked with like one of my diabetes mentors, and just with all the things I had to practice those next 6 weeks of like taking insulin during and all the above. And yeah, so those 6 weeks, it's funny because like I was so focused on like figuring out how to take insulin while racing because that's what was going to hold me back. And actually like did not have a great training block. Like I got an infection from my glucose meter. I had to be
No.
on antibiotics. Like Thanksgiving was in there, and so I was like hanging out with family. Like sleep was in. Like decided to have a glass of wine. I was like, why not? Like I got to live my life. Like just could have been. It was not like the perfect build up to New York, right? And so like yeah, those 6 weeks were, I was questioning it, but then I lined up and I'm like, hey, like you've been training at this pace for now like 6 months. Like we've got this. And started the first 10 miles, felt terrible. Like, well, this is great. Like, but then I just was like, just believe, just keep fueling, keep like saw a friend and she was having a good day too. And she's like, just tell your body to shut up, and like turned around at like 18. I started in the seated and probably like the 150th like female. Like there was a whole group trying to OTQ. And then by 18, there was an official like counting up the like place. So he was like ninth, because I was with a group of 4 females, and he was like ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th female. And I was like, how the heck did I go from like probably 150th to like 12th? And so it was that like inspiration I needed and confidence I needed. I was like, well, I must have just been so like focused and not noticing what was happening. And so really cool. And by 22, I kind of in my mind knew I had it, even though I still had 4 miles to hold at that pace. And so I just started to get this excitement. And I think just being excited, and like I was trying to smile at everyone, like just enjoy why I was there. And like even like take the fact that I kind of had this like, thank goodness, like I know I'm gonna actually do it, out of my brain. Like I was just trying to like enjoy the experience. And I think I forgot that at New York. I was so focused on the goal at hand. And so really cool. And I rounded the final turn at CAM and like saw like 2:36 low, and I'm like, all I have to do is like sprint it in. And